KUAM News Headlines is presented by CALVO'S Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Tano Program. Cars Plus, home of Guam's first and only lifetime limited powertrain warranty. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Coming up on Primetime, Guam's total is up to 354 COVID-19 cases after 3 more people have tested positive. Plus, legislation that would ban all forms of gambling except bingo and cockfighting was hotly debated on Wednesday night. And the State Historic Preservation Officer is being called for more comprehensive archaeological surveys to be completed before work begins on the final phase of construction at Northwest Field.
Hafa and good evening, everyone. Based on new and substantial archaeological findings at 4 live-fire training range sites at Northwest Field, Guam State Historic Preservation Officer Patrick Lujan has called for a temporary halt to any further construction at a 5th one.
We're incorporating a lot of requirements.
Shippo Lujan has invoked a stipulation in the 2015 agreement between Guam and the Defense Department and is calling for more surveys to be completed before work can start on a 5th firing range. In a letter to Rear Admiral John Minoni, the Shippo states, quote, "The numerous findings of historical sites and human remains found can only confirm the deficiencies. I am advising Joint Region Marianas to further collect information prior to the signing of any contracts for any construction. This should eliminate any potential conflicts and the destruction of historic properties." Lujan goes on to state that, quote, "Unlike the previous 4 firing range sites, the site designated for the Milcon multi-purpose machine gun has yet to be graded and cleared of forest and vegetation." As part of a resolution, the Shippo proposes establishing a site-specific pre-construction archaeological investigation plan to include features, isolated objects, and other relevant archaeological data. In a news release, Governor Lou Leon Guerrero said that the buildup needs to be done at a pace that benefits our people, and we must be our own advocates. Unrelated federal and defense projects will not be affected by this temporary pause. And you can read the full release on our website at KUAM.com. Legalized local gambling continues to be a hotly debated topic. It resurfaced during a public hearing Wednesday on a bill by Vice Speaker Talina Nelson to amend current statute and essentially ban all forms of gambling except bingo and cockfighting. The bill is the latest attempt by Senator Nelson to address what she believes are the social ills that gambling brings, and testimony at the hearing offered much of the same pro and con arguments that we've heard over the years.
We are highly taxed. We contribute greatly to the common welfare of our government and our island. We ask for nothing in return except that we be allowed to continue in business.
We have seen every possible reason to legalize gambling. Tourism, the hospital, schools, and even sports for students. Our community did not fall for such promises. Gambling is not an essential business.
But then, Jigo Mayor Rudy Matsunani took to the mic and told Nelson, no offense, but she has her priorities wrong.
A lot of us people make the wrong choices, and that's just the way life is. But if you don't do anything about this trash and about these stray dogs, pretty soon, I'm telling you the truth, man, pretty soon that the dogs are going to be telling us what to do.
Mr. Matsunani, you mentioned about gambling is not hurting anyone, or perhaps it's a waste of time for us, and that stray dogs are more important. And it's their choice that they decide to gamble. Well, I'll tell you, if you're an addict, it's very difficult to discern what is good for you and what is bad for you. And so if there is someone suffering and is being hurt by something, I cannot just turn the other way.
But then it got a bit more heated.
I don't like to put people down. But if a person wants to gamble, that's what I'm saying. You cannot stop the person. A lot of these people that are gambling up until now, you know, that's their livelihood. I don't make their choices. And you know what? I really don't care. And you should know me, Senator, that anybody that needs my help, I'm always there. More than I want to. So please don't slap me that,
Mayor.
you know.
With
No,
all due
no, wait a
respect,
minute. It's my
Mr.
turn to
Manzanilla,
talk,
with
okay?
all
I
due
kept my
respect,
mouth
I did
shut
not
when you
attack
were
you.
putting me
I
down.
did not say that you did
I
not
kept
care.
my mouth shut when you were putting me
I
down.
was not putting you down, Mr. Manzanilla.
My name is not Mactanonia.
Or
My
Mr.
name is
Mantanani.
Mactanani.
Mr. Manzanani, I was not putting you down.
Yes, you were. As far as
I was
I'm concerned, you're talking
addressing
to
the
me.
issue that you stated. I was addressing the issue that you stated, that it's their choice.
Yes, it's their choice. What do you want me to say?
Things did calm down a bit later.
Thank you.
In other news, after being brutally attacked, a neighborhood boony dog named Walter was put to rest. KUAM's Adriana Cotero speaks with a neighborhood resident and Guam Animals in Need on their concerns over animal cruelty.
I liked it when I got home. I opened the door. He was always there, sticking his head in the car, looking for his ear scratchings. Before he was a good dog, definitely a good dog.
Jigo resident Patrick Maloney describes Walter as the friendliest dog he's met in a long time. He says Walter loved visiting with people, getting ear scratches, and playing with the neighborhood children.
The kids that rode the bicycles around the neighborhood, I called him by his name, and they would play with him.
Walter was an older and smaller dog that hung out in Maloney's carport, and he made sure there was always food for his furry friend there. But on Tuesday, July 21st, that food went untouched. Walter was severely injured after being attacked during the day, explains Guam Animals in Need President Cyrus Lur.
One morning, just last week, the children came running to their parents because saying that Walter's hurt. They noticed that he was bleeding, and when the parents went out and were able to catch up to Walter, they found a 10-inch deep gash in the back of his neck and along the side.
According to Lur, by the laceration, it's evident that this was not an accident. He says it was a clear cut along the neck and did not seem like an act of self-defense. The neighborhood then came to the aid of Walter, placed him into a kennel, and brought him to a local veterinary clinic.
But it was determined that nothing could be done to save his life, and so he was euthanized to end his suffering.
Lur says there is a suspect who is enlisted in the military. Lur was unable to provide a name, however does share some background information from the incident.
We've been told that the person who did this was upset because their chickens had been attacked a few days earlier. But these are dogs. Walter was a dog that had been in the neighborhood for years and had never attacked any chickens. And so this person had expressed their desire to take care of the problem. They had brandished a knife in the past in the neighborhood, and when talking about taking care of the dogs.
Lur also says while Guam does have stray animal problems and unhealthy animal welfare, there are proper ways to handle matters, and animal cruelty is not the answer.
It is never okay to simply go out and kill an animal because it inconveniences you. That is just immoral. It's evil, and the person who did this to Walter really should be held accountable and brought to justice. We are hopeful that not only will GPD investigate this and arrest the person and bring them to justice, but that the military as well will conduct their own independent investigation and hold their personnel accountable.
KUAM reached out to GPD spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapau for an update on an arrest. He says the investigation is ongoing. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Adriana Cotero.
Now for the latest on COVID-19 cases, the Joint Information Center has confirmed 3 more infections. 2 of those cases reported travel and were confirmed while in a quarantine facility. Contact tracing confirmed the 3rd case. In total, public health reports that 204 samples were tested on Wednesday. The number of active cases on Guam is now 52, with the number of hospitalized down to 2. Overall, there have been 354 confirmed COVID-19 cases since March 15th. The Department of Corrections is preparing for the mass testing of officers, inmates, and pretrial detainees. Earlier this week, Public Health conducted a walkthrough assessment of the Mangilaw facility to determine where to stage a testing site. Dep Corps Major Anton Uggan.
From the beginning, the director has always wanted to test the inmates, but again, we're the community. I bet Public Health had to deal with the community first. Now we're looking at moving into our prison population, just as a precaution. Again, that it's something the director has been pushing for, and Public Health is now willing to address our inmate and staff officer populations.
The mass testing should be conducted in the next few weeks. Huggins says no inmates have shown any signs and symptoms. Although 2 officers had previously tested positive for COVID-19, they have since been cleared and are back to work. Children and their families were the focus of today's meeting of the Interagency on Homelessness and the Office of Homelessness Assistance and Poverty Prevention. Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio says there continues to be talks on procurement of additional facilities for more adequate shelter operations.
There are 72 individuals currently at the shelter, including 15 children. There is a waiting list of mostly male, single male individuals that are unsheltered at Catholic Social Services.
The Department of Public Health presented on their various programs specific to children, families, and senior citizens. Deputy Director Terry Uggan.
Sadly enough, we have a lot of children who are homeless, and it isn't so much the numbers, but it is the fact that they are children and that they're growing up in a system that really falls short of their needs.
Officials also noted the need for additional staff for a more timely response to referrals. The agencies are in collaboration to provide more holistic services to those in the shelters. The Department of Revenue and Taxation has paid out roughly $134 million in federal EIP stimulus checks. You may recall that was the initial amount received from the IRS for the program. But DRT Director Daphne Shimizu says GovGuam got an additional chunk of money from the feds.
As it turned out, we went back and we had worked our numbers, and we went and worked with IRS and Treasury, and they actually approved to give us an additional $18.62 million on top of the $131 million that we had actually already received. Wow. So the new number that we have, in terms of how much we've received from the Treasury, the new approved number at this point is $150 million.
DRT has already received the additional $18.2 million and is working to get the payments out. Meanwhile, those who are still waiting for a stimulus check are advised to go to myguamtax.com and register. You'll be able to look up the status of your EIP CARES payment. For more on what's happening at Rev and Tax, check out the full interview with Director Daphne on our YouTube channel. Decision 2020 is now officially underway. Absentee voting began today at the Guam Election Commission headquarters in Hagåtña. A new law allows in-office balloting for registered voters for the next 30 days in order to minimize the risk of COVID-19 exposure. GEC Director Maria Pangilinan.
The first hour every day is reserved for the Manamku, persons with disabilities or health condition. From 10 o'clock to 3:30, we will take appointments. For the voters, this is most efficient, so you don't have to wait. Then from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, Monday through Friday, we will take walk-ins. On Saturdays, we will open from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And again, the first hour is for Manamku. The rest of the day, up until 1 o'clock, will be by appointment here at GCIC 3rd floor.
Again, you're urged to make an appointment before going down to vote. The number for the GEC is 477-9791. For more information, you can also go to gec.guam.gov. Absentee voting is from today until August 28th. A majority of the 14 Catholic schools' calendar year will begin within the first 2 weeks of August. The Archdiocese of Hagåtña Office of Catholic Education sent out a schedule for the first day of classes for each school. Father Dueñas memorials are on Monday, August 3rd at Ta'i, and Dominican Catholic School in Jigo welcomes students on August 5th. The remaining Catholic schools will start the week of August 10th. This morning, Catholic School Superintendent Dr. Juan Flores joined Chris and Bree on the link to announce the reopening.
We are seeing a drop. There are 2 reasons, I think, for the drop. The main reason is financial. I think especially with those families who've lost employment since the start of the pandemic, the onset of the isolation. The other reason is for some schools, enrollment is limited because the schools are only enrolling those kids they can fit in the classrooms according to the set protocols.
And you can view the full first day of classes schedule on KUAM.com, which include parents and student orientation dates. Stick around for more news here on Primetime. This is KUAM.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Social distancing may be the new norm, but connection will always be our tradition. Through good times and tough times, we remain connected with you. Masks may be the new fashion, but protection will always be our style. You can always count on us to protect the things that matter the most. Sanitizing may be the new routine, but caring will always be our practice. We care about your loved ones and the things you value the most. And as we welcome our new normal, one thing remains certain: we will always be here for you. We're open and ready to serve you. CALVO'S Insurance, a legacy of trust.
We're all in this together, and that means we all need to continue to do our part.
Now, we've all done an effective job of containing COVID throughout the Marianas, but we need to continue to maintain to stop the spread.
We can't let our guard down. Each and every one of us are soldiers in this war against COVID-19, and every day is a battle.
It may sound hard to believe, but combating COVID requires us to hold the line every single day by continuing to practice social distancing, wear a mask, and wash your hands.
If there's anything we've learned these past few months is that things can change within hours. We can wake up in the morning hearing there are 0 positive cases, and by the time we go to sleep at night, we can see a spike.
That's why we urge you to please continue the fight, not just for yourself, but for your family and friends.
We can do this together.
Let's all stay ahead of the spread.
This message is brought to you by the KUAM Care Force.
Graduation is such a momentous occasion, but this year, the class of 2020 will not have the chance to celebrate their achievements in a traditional way. Watch KUAM News Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays during the months of May through July as we feature members of this historic class. Head of the class, class of 2020, is also featured on a special KUAM News Communications Facebook yearbook album. Let's celebrate the class of 2020 together. Head of the class, class of 2020, is presented by the Guam Community College and ABC stores.
As an institution that has been a part of our lives, our community, our culture, and now for these changing times, the radio station you love and embrace during celebrations and in times when you need information will still be there, but in a way more accessible to more tomorrows across the globe and wherever you are. Isla lives on. The music continues. Download the KUAM News mobile app to your smart device and listen to the stream today.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Restarting and saving the economy will be at the center of my mission as your congressman. It has never been more urgent and important that Guam's delegate to Congress delivers. I will fight to extend pandemic unemployment insurance and create a federally funded emergency unemployment program for Guam. Now more than ever, businesses need help to survive, and we need to immediately diversify our economy. As congressman, I will fight to fund programs like PPP, Paycheck Protection Program assistance for our small businesses. And as I did before, I will ensure that we maximize funding for infrastructure improvements and expanding opportunities for much-needed skills trades programs. The stakes have never been higher, and I'm ready to help us get through this. I humbly ask for your vote. I'm Robert Underwood, and I approve this message.
No waiting in line to see your doctor or to pick up your medication. From tips to living a healthier lifestyle, nutrition and fitness, to the latest wellness trends, stay healthy by checking in for your weekly dose of health news on Health Check every Tuesday on KUAM News Extra. Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Join KUAM News every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on TV8 and streaming live on the KUAM News Facebook page for In Full Zoom, a half-hour program zooming in on efforts to rebuild Guam's economy. Nestor Lecanto will interview a panel of guests from the business sector via Zoom to discuss their ideas and suggestions on how the island can rebound from the devastating blow from COVID-19. From struggles to strategies to get Guam back on the road to economic recovery. Check out In Full Zoom Wednesdays on KUAM and KUAM at 6:30 p.m. In Full Zoom is presented to you